My mom and dad immigrated from Britain in 1965, and I was born in 1967. My dad came over as a millwright at a time when Canada had a call for tradesmen. And when he came over, he actually did quite well as a millwright, and he went to work at LaSalle Tool and climbed the ladder quite quickly, but then fell quite quickly as well. So we ended up moving to a small apartment, two-bedroom apartment. My mom certainly had a change in lifestyle in that she needed to go back to school, and so she chose St. Clair College. So leaving high school, I thought about going to post-secondary and actually registered at one point, but was working full-time and just couldn't make that happen. I couldn't afford to go the way that I would like to, but then found myself a single mother at 21. And while I was pregnant, actually started to go to St. Clair. So I started taking business classes, and I was really impressed with the caliber of teachers that I was meeting who were actually working in the field. And that was the hook for me, that they knew what was happening, that it was relevant to me, and that I felt like it would be useful for me going forward. So at that time, while I was attending part-time, I was working at a sheltered workshop. I was working for the Association for Persons with Physical Disabilities, and really started to get very interested in disability services and what that meant and what it looked like for people who were leaving institutions and going out to work and having opportunity to be as productive as I felt I had the opportunity to be. About that time, I also met somebody who would become an important person in my life who could not read. Never learned to read well, always read at about a grade 3 level, really worked at being functional and being successful, and had a wonderful job and had a wonderful family and gave back to his community. And we had the opportunity to travel around Canada doing presentations. So that person was Arnie Stewart, and Arnie Stewart had 2 children. He was married. He worked for the Bridge Commission in Niagara Falls. People in literacy, everybody in literacy knew Arnie. He was charming, and more importantly, he was genuine when he spoke. And I usually am not the straight man when we speak, but Arnie stole the show. When we went on the road, I give a lot of the facts, and he talked about real life and what it meant to be somebody who couldn't read well. We went to the national board, so Arnie was the national consumer representative, and I was very involved in terms of programming and training, and what did that mean for trainers across the province in terms of providing meaningful support to them, and how you made a difference in terms of progress for students. So we had the opportunity to go to schools, we went to conferences, we spoke a lot about the day-to-day things that happen for individuals who have difficulty with reading. When I was in elementary and secondary school, I was painfully shy. My goal was to be able to do public speaking, but the college offered an instructor's training program. The program was actually being offered to staff at the college, and the person that I spoke to said, "We haven't done that before." And I said, "But I really want that." And she said, "Okay, we'll make it work for you." I then had decided that I really needed to go into a full-time program. And again, I needed to work. I needed to provide for my son. And so I looked at some of the other offerings that were available through the continuing education calendar, and could see how some of the courses there could be transferred into a full-time program. So I finished that program and then registered for the developmental services worker and commuted back and forth to Chatham to take that program. I probably have enough credits to complete several degrees, but because of the stopping and starting, it took longer, and it worked for me. During that time, I was still working with the Association for Persons with Physical Disabilities, had started a literacy program there, and were working with clients there. And the job came up at the Learning Disabilities Association. And when I saw the ad, I thought, that's the job that I should have. And so when I was hired, I was the first person hired at the Learning Disabilities Association. Our primary focus from an agency perspective is children, youth, and adults with learning disabilities and those who support them. So when we define that, we're really looking at individuals who have average or above average intelligence, but have very specific processing deficits, and it's considered to be a communication disorder. I've been with the Learning Disabilities Association of Windsor-Essex County since 2001, was the first staff hired. But I think for me, it's time to make a change in terms of new opportunities. So I've accepted the position as Supervisor of Social Services for the City of Windsor, and I will be working from the Leamington office. And so I will be able to be part of bringing a lot of community partners together and working cooperatively to make services more accessible to people in Leamington and in the county. I've had the opportunity to teach at the college. So I've been at the college for 10 years teaching in the Child and Youth Worker program. So I think my path has been very different. Schooling has been an important part of getting to this point. It's meant going to school at night. It's been spending a lot of our free family time doing activities that have gotten me to the opportunities that I've had. My husband, Wes Fathers, has certainly watched our son and taken care of him when I've been traveling, when I've had late meetings, when I've been going to school, when I've been in Toronto taking classes. And my son Corey is also a St. Clair graduate. He took the Mechanical Techniques program. He also was in the Civil Engineering program, has done very well for himself, and had to put up with a lot of late meetings and shuffling in terms of being able to participate as a volunteer, as a staff person, as a student. They have been involved in lots and lots of fundraisers, and so I appreciate all the time that they have spent supporting the causes that have been of interest to me.